group of wealthy racists who use their social positions to agitate against blacks.
Okay, so I wanted to talk about the Ku Klux Klan here. The KKK, they are America's most infamous hate group. They were formed in the Deep South, and they were formed right at the end of the Civil War, and they were formed by a lot of Confederate supporters. And what a lot of people don't know about the KKK is not just a white supremacist organization, it's also an extremist Protestant organization. If you are Catholic, even if you are white, the KKK hate you. They basically hate anybody who's not Anglo-Saxon. So if you're black, they hate you. If you're Catholic, they hate you. If you're Irish, they hate you. If you're Greek, Polish, Italian, any kind of Eastern European, they hate you. If you're Native American, Asian, Jewish, they hate you as well. They basically hate anybody who is not Anglo-Saxon. And what happened is in the Deep South, the KKK pretty much ruled a lot of the southern states after the Civil War. They were an extremely powerful group, and they controlled a lot of politicians, judges, sheriffs. They controlled a lot of people in the South, and there was so much violence. There was mass violence that was going on in the South. You had mobs of KKK members that were basically terrorized black people, killed them, beat them up, hanged them from trees, lanterns. The violence was just ridiculous. It was just completely out of control. The southern states were just so violent in that time period. And one of the worst cases was the Camilla Massacre. What happened with the Camilla Massacre? It happened in Georgia in 1868. Georgia just granted the right for black people to vote. And there was a protest march that was going on. And the protest march was of black people and white abolitionists. They were protesting together in a march, and they were going towards the Camilla courthouse to protest. And they had guns. They were openly carrying guns. But these protesters were not threatening. And they only carried the guns for their protection. And it was actually legal for them to carry those guns. Open carry was legal in South Carolina even at that time. It was their Second Amendment right to be able to carry those weapons. And what happened was when they got to Camilla, the town had actually deputized every single white person in that town, and then the white mob of people had just opened fire on the protesters the second that they arrived. And they killed between 9 and 15 protesters, and the rest of the protesters just escaped, ran away. Nobody was ever charged for that. Nobody was ever arrested for that. And that's what happened in the southern states, is that the juries were so corrupt, the judges were so corrupt, the sheriffs were so corrupt, nobody got prosecuted for violence against black people and violence against abolitionists. Nobody was being prosecuted for that. And that's why when Grant became president after Johnson, because Johnson was such a horrible president, Grant, famous general who also led us to victory in the Civil War, he sent the army down into a lot of these southern states. And what he did was he suspended his habeas corpus in 9 counties in South Carolina that had the worst violence. And these neo-Confederates, they will spread around propaganda where they'll say, oh, Grant violated our states' rights, he's a dictator, he's tyrannical, he suspended habeas corpus. Habeas corpus basically means that the government cannot hold you for no reason. But Grant suspended it because the Constitution allows the government to suspend habeas corpus in acts of rebellion. It's very clear on that. And that was rebellion, what was going on there. Grant said that KKK was an extension of the Confederacy. And he was completely right in that. And so Grant, when he arrested hundreds of KKK members, those guys, the violence plummeted in those states. So Grant did what he had to do, and don't listen to this neo-Confederate propaganda.